hmm
What about Santa Barbara stands out from the other soccer hubs in California?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, part of it is our location, right? So if somebody in Santa Barbara wanted to go to a high quality professional soccer game, they're gonna have to head down to LA. And from Santa Barbara, that can be anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours.
Hello, welcome to the United Soccer Lounge. My name is Riley James. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us right here on episode 44 on Goals TV. Now, I'm interviewing someone today that is familiar to me but not to you. She came on the show in July of 2024. Her name is Sheralyn Baltes, the CEO of Santa Barbara Sky. So I interviewed her back then because at that time, Santa Barbara Sky was a expansion team into USL League One coming in 2025, and I had the opportunity to do it then, and I was going to bank it for now before they entered the league. Well, all of that blew up because they were given the opportunity to acquire Memphis's USL Championship rights. So they did. Naturally, you would, right? You want to move up to the second division as opposed to being in third. So, with all of that, it made the show that Sherilyn and I did useless. So I asked her to come back on. She agreed, and that's what we're doing here today, as Santa Barbara Sky is now moving up to USL Championship without even kicking a ball. But because of the time of this and because of how quickly it all came together, they will enter the league in 2026 as opposed to their originally scheduled 2025. However, I think the story is important to tell now because I'm interested. I haven't actually done this yet. I usually do this after the program so I know what we have talked about. But I'm going to ask her what happened, right? And because it's one of those things that in this level of American soccer, we've seen teams just kind of go away. Memphis went away, Northern Colorado went away, Central Valley went away. You don't see that in any other sport here in the United States, and you rarely ever see it in MLS. Chivas USA being the example. So I'm going to ask what happened. I'm going to ask how does this change everything going forward, and ultimately, what is the new plan going into 2026? But still, plenty of talk about Peter Moore, plenty of talk about Santa Barbara and their stadium that they're playing at, the University of California at Santa Barbara. Harder Stadium, a beautiful facility. Cannot wait to be able to talk with Sherilyn about all that. But that'll do it for us off the top. Thank you so much for watching our program. If you do like our program, you can subscribe to our channel at goals.tv. You can like this video, comment your favorite thing about Santa Barbara, about a Sky or the Sky, or how excited you are to watch this team play in 2026. You can also share the video. That also really helps that too. But I'll leave that up to you. Our interview with Sheralyn Baltes starts right now. Please welcome to the program a 1997 academic All-American from the University of Montana, but a little bit more relevant to this show, the CEO of Santa Barbara Sky, Sheralyn Baltes. Sheralyn, thank you so much for coming onto the program. I hesitate to not say back to the program because we've done this once before, but ultimately that show is now useless with all of this brand new news. But Sheralyn, thank you so much, and how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a lot of things that have happened since we last
Yeah.
spoke 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me again on your show. I had so much fun last time. So when you reached out this time, I was like, of course, I can't wait. Yeah. So thanks for having me.
When we last spoke, and I talked about this in the open of the show, so a little bit of context has already been provided, but you guys were entering USL League One in 2025. That has now changed pretty drastically to 2026, and it will be the second division USL Championship. So, how it was written and explained to me is that you acquired Memphis's rights. How did this come about, and what's that process look like?
Yeah. So this came about, I think, for a variety of reasons. One is that when we came out of the gates in this market, the response that we got was pretty immense, right? So we knew that, yes, we are a small town sports market that would traditionally fall into the League One model. So League One communities are usually from 0 to, what is it, 500,000 or whatever. And then when
Yeah.
it's 500,000 and beyond, that's more of, of the championship model. And then anything, in the 3, 5 beyond million, that's more MLS market. So, when you look at it that way, we fell into the League One ecosystem. But, as, the months went on and we kept getting such a huge response, not only from our season ticket deposits. So when we launched our season ticket deposits, were thousands. And when we launched our first merch line, we sold out. And, we started getting, inbound questions from people wanting to be in our fan supporter group. And we started getting inbound questions from people wanting to be our sponsors. And so we just went like, wow, there's an immense need here, it seems. And in Santa Barbara, it's interesting in that we don't have any other professional sports. So this will be the only professional, sporting um, business in town. And also unique to Santa Barbara is that, yes, if you look at Santa Barbara proper, we fall into that League One market size. But if you look at the entirety of Central Coast, we would fall into a larger market size. And what we started to see was that people that were purchasing season ticket deposits, they were from not just Santa Barbara, but they were from Goleta, they were from Santa Maria, they were from San Luis Obispo, they were from Ventura, they were from the whole Central Coast. So we started to very quickly realize like, wow, that, you know, we're going to be probably a little bit large for a League One franchise. And with that, there were just a lot of discussions with the USL and with some of our, potential primary ownership groups and with our teams internally. And ultimately, we just decided that, the championship division is just going to be a better fit for this market and for the support that we've seen so far.
And I can firsthand experience tell you the merch is great. You can see the scarf sitting behind me. Also got sent a very beautiful shirt with Barber on the back, which was
Mhm.
really fantastic. It was really really nice of you guys to be the first club to send stuff in. So shout out to you folks at the Sky. There's a lot to consider. You mentioned a lot with moving to the championship from USL League One. Soccer is not foreign to California. There's plenty of markets and plenty of teams for people to choose to be their own. But you guys, like you mentioned, are going into a market that does not have a professional sports team.
Mhm.
What about Santa Barbara stands out from the other soccer hubs in California?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, part of it is our location, right? So if somebody in Santa Barbara wanted to go to a high quality professional soccer game, they're gonna have to head down to LA. And from Santa Barbara, that can be anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours. So that's a pretty serious commitment, right? So there's that piece of it. It's the geography. And then the second piece of it is just the thirst for soccer in this town, right? Like, so I mentioned, you see that traditional American football isn't really that popular here. Baseball is, but not as much as soccer, right? So I'm also the president of the board for Santa Barbara Soccer Club, which is the largest youth, well, not just youth, but the largest soccer club in town, right?
Right.
And we have over 3,000 athletes, ages 4 to ages 70, and we touch any person that wants to play soccer in this town, whether you want to play for the MLS Next on the boys side, whether you want to play in a rec league and you're 50 years old, whether you want to play in the DPL on the girls side, whether you want to play in SoCal, Cal South, whatever it is, that club offers everything. And so, that I also think is very unique to our market and that we very much have a built-in soccer community and fan base.
Now, one thing that you didn't mention, and I'm happy you didn't mention, is the beautiful stadium you guys are going to occupy. Harder Stadium, 17,000 seats. It's going to make it the largest. It was already the largest in USL League One. Now it's the largest in the championship by capacity. You guys are working directly with University of Santa Barbara to make that happen. What was that relationship like to be able to make that happen? And how excited are you for you to watch professional soccer in that stadium?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if you've ever been to UCSB and Harder Stadium, But even just driving there, you've got the Pacific Ocean on your left, you've got these beautiful mountains on your right, and you're driving into this gorgeous stadium that has ample parking. It's got just it's soccer heaven. They call it soccer heaven. The seats are super close to the pitch. It's just gorgeous. So we are, yeah, absolutely fortunate to have that venue and the relationship that we've been able to establish with UCSB in particular, the athletic director there, Kelly Barsky, has been monumental for us. It's been lovely in a lot of ways, and it's kind of a win. It is a win-win for both of us because UCSB, although it's 10 minutes north of Santa Barbara, it's close. For some reason, people in Santa Barbara think of it, it's called Isla Vista, and they think of it as like an island on its own, right? But it's 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
And it's this gorgeous place with so many resources and so much going on and such a little culture and life. And, it's a wonderful little place. And so, but they just don't get a lot of people from Santa Barbara visiting and just going there to go to concerts or listen to lectures or whatever other, opportunities there are on campus. And so one of the things that Kelly and Sky partnered on was like, let's bring Santa Barbara to Isla Vista. And this is one way that we can get thousands of people on campus every other week engaging with that university that has so much to offer. So for them, it was a way to connect Isla Vista to Santa Barbara and UCSB to Santa Barbara proper. But, the second thing is that, if you're in a large UC system, a lot of times it's hard to get resources to upgrade your facility, right? So, you have to work through that bureaucracy. It can take a long time, and there's a lot of competing priorities and also budget cuts and all those things. And so, what we did as part of our lease agreement with UCSB is that we are putting 1.125, so call it $1.1 million worth of CapEx into that stadium. So what we've already done is entirely replace the turf. So we put in this brand new, beautiful, weather-resistant, natural grass surface. And we put that down prior to the Wrexham game, and the ball just moves beautifully on it. Like it's amazing. And so that was one thing that we did. And then the next thing we're going to do is remodel the seats, replace the sound system, put in some VIP structures. So we're going to give Harder a nice little facelift. So, that will be something that UCSB benefits from, and then also something that Sky benefits from. So it's really a unique and lovely partnership.
Now I'm gonna get a text from my boss for saying this, but I think it's okay. Um, there's some things happening behind the scenes here at the United Soccer Lounge where quite possibly we could be taking some trips. 2026, going to that place sounds awesome. That's maybe a target we have for when Santa Barbara Sky is kicking ball around
Well,
California.
guess
But
what? We can hook you up.
gotta
Yeah, I
get
mean, that's one of the things, that we've talked a lot about and that we have to focus on, and that, everyone in the championship division has to focus on, and that is that game day experience, right? Like
oh
we
yeah.
want you to want to come to that game, and how do we make it fun, not just for, soccer fanatics like yourself and myself, but like, what if I'm a non-soccer fanatic? How do I make it really fun for that person too, right? So that game day experience and something anyone would love to be at. So whether it's the DJ ahead of time, whether it's the fireworks or the smoke, whatever it is, we're working really hard to make sure that, to a certain degree, yes, there's a high quality product on the field. But you think about what is professional sports. Yeah, it's fun, it's sexy, it's all these things, but at the end of the day, it's an entertainment business,
Yeah.
right? Yes, it's professional sports, and that's really fun if you're a soccer fanatic and you love to know that like we got the 10 from this place and that place, and I used to play the 7 if you know all those things, but there's a lot of people that don't. And so, we need to make sure that it is an entertainment, a top of the line product that our fans and customers can't live without.
And not to praise a different league on a USL platform, but like I think the NBA's done this probably the best of any professional sport because they have the
NFL and
best
NBA kill it.
opportunity to, right? And especially
Hmm.
in the arenas. And I think the NFL also does a fantastic job of keeping people entertained because in those sports you have these long media timeouts, right? So it's just kind of a drag. Soccer has a lot of action before the game, at halftime, and obviously post game on some events. So definitely something to pull from those leagues, and I think you guys are already on that. And be able to have Harder Stadium where it needs to be before you guys actually kick off is probably priority number one as far
Yeah,
as
and
that's the main
thinking
point.
about that CapEx, right? Like that game day experience and that fan experience is something that, we've taken into a lot of consideration in terms of, well, with that investment, what's the best way to make sure that that investment translates into a fun game day experience for the fans and an amazing match experience for the players and coaches and technical staff.
Well, Jose, I'm sure I'm going to get your text message very, very soon after you watch this. But hey, Santa Barbara, that's a target on my list, at least for 2026. Let's talk about Peter Moore, the founding investor of this club, right? He has had a very rich history of being successful in a lot of things that he has been involved in. What his influence on this club, and obviously through the process of getting you guys to the championship, but how important has he been to this club being built?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's been the backbone, right? Like I think that a lot of phone calls get picked up and a lot of, sponsors call us and a lot of doors get opened because of his experience and his reputation. I mean, I don't know, the ex-CEO of Liverpool then becomes like the founding investor of Santa Barbara Sky. Like, come on. This is like,
I was gonna mention
and
like
just,
you ever heard of Reebok and Sega and
I know,
Microsoft? He worked at all those places.
I know, I know. I know it's too funny. I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit of a dream situation, I'm not gonna lie. And, just boots on the ground every day working with him. And I work with him all day, every day. And I gotta say, he's been a wonderful like mentor and leader for me. He's very creative, very charismatic, a wonderful speaker. And it's been really fun in my role, like as the COO, right? I'm kind of the one that, does the budget and the finance and the operations and what about this? So he can like run around and do like creative, amazing, charismatic things, and then I can run around behind him and just make sure that like it gets executed.
The way you guys have worked together to be able to create this thing that is now taking on such a life that you moved up a league without kicking a ball. That's how important
Oh
I think
yeah.
the partnership of you guys. I don't want to sell you short. You're a
Well,
major part in this too.
so it's been Peter and I and a few other people, in and out since 2022. But
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's kind of just consistently been the two of us. And so it's been a lot of work, I'm not going to mince words here. It's been a lot. And he has definitely been that steadfast, consistent leader for us. And it has been a great partnership, but he has definitely been a mentor for me. And I don't think that I would have been able to and or wanting to take on the role of COO had I not had his mentorship and, guidance for the last couple of years because, I've never been a COO of a professional, soccer team before. So I kind of needed those years to get my wings under me for sure.
To the actual soccer, you guys have seen expansion teams over the last couple of years. You were looking probably at USL League One teams before. Now you are probably eyeing a team like Rhode Island, who had a bunch of success making it all the way to the final this past year. I would have asked you about Spokane, but we have now moved up a league, like we have mentioned. So you look
Mhm.
at Rhode Island, you look at the success and see that it's possible at this level.
Mhm.
What strides are being taken to be able to not replicate a final appearance, but to compete right away now that you have an extra year to get things ready?
Yeah, I mean, Riley, I will tell you that soup to nuts, we here in Santa Barbara are doing everything um, top level. We are hiring the absolute A team in terms of our chief marketing officer, our SVP of sponsorships. So from the front office perspective, all the way down to, and we spent 2 years on this, but all the way down to making sure that our business model was financially self-sustaining within 3 years. Right. So there's some teams that, it's a tough business model. And, there are some teams that can never find that pathway to break even. We spent a very long time working every single angle to figure out a very realistic way for us to become self-sustainable within a few years. And that's just the front office. And then on the technical side of things, and again, this won't be my wheelhouse. I won't be the one, running this part of the business, but making sure that we find the absolutely most qualified and perfect fit sporting director for this club, and then the absolute best perfect fit head coach. And from there, making sure that we recruit, the highest quality talent possible. We do have the distinct advantage of being out here on the West Coast where you've got Stanford, you've got UW, you've got MLS next teams all over the place. The quality of play out here is incredible. So, we have that as our advantage as well. But I would say from every area, from every little detail in the front office to every detail on the back office to every detail at the stadium and at game day operations, we're running at just excellence is the standard.
Now, I have to ask, right? I would be remiss if I didn't ask. There is a big boom in the women's side of the sport. We've seen USL
Mhm.
Super League come in and have a major success through the first half of their season. We'll get to USL Super League content as you kick off the second half of the season. I promise that's coming in a couple of weeks, including a very special surprise. But
So cool.
you've seen this kind of explode with the Super League happening. The USLW has done better over the last couple of years. Is there a plan? Is there a conversation? And I know, slow down. We need one team on the field before we get a second team. But has there been talk of a Super League and or USLW team?
Yeah. So I will tell you that the tentative plan is for us to kick off Super League August 2026. What I'll also tell you, the challenge there is our stadium.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the Super League kicks off in August and they go until May. And that happens to completely overlap with the NCAA season. So since we're playing at UCSB, that means that our women will have to compete for not only field space, but eyeballs, right? Like you get
Yeah.
some soccer fatigue there if you've got the men's gauchos, the women's gauchos, and then USL Super League all playing in the exact same seasons. Whereas the championship division, we kick off March and we end in November. So we don't overlap as much. There is some, but that's, a really big challenge there is just going to be field space. So eventually, if we have our own venue somewhere else, or, if we can find, really a creative schedule solution, then, we will be moving forward. The plan is to move forward August 2026, but, that is the caveat of being able to make it work logistically.
And that kind of leads us into the last thing. I cannot appreciate you enough for making time for this.
Oh, of course.
Why are you in particular so passionate about this project in Santa Barbara?
Mhm. Yeah, so there's a piece of why I'm passionate about it, and then there's a second separate piece about why Santa Barbara. So I'll start with the first, and that is, why am I so passionate about this? I will tell you that I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and I had a very young mom. And she had picked up playing soccer in her late teens, and she had me, right around 19 or 20. And soccer was exploding then for women, and she picked it up and she loved it. And so she used to just take me around with her everywhere to her practices and her games and whatever. And, at like 3, 4, 5, of course, I'm like kicking it around too, like on the sidelines and whatnot. And so eventually, when I was about 4 or 5, she started a team for me and our neighbors. And so she was my coach until, I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Finally, when I was around 10 or 11, um, there were clubs that were asking me to join their club. And so, as it turns out, again, my mom was a housekeeper, and oftentimes, we had a hard time making ends meet. And it turns out this club that I ended up joining, they gave me a full scholarship
That's
for
awesome.
my uniform, for my tuition, and as I got older and we started traveling, also for my travel. And I do not, to this day, I do not know who it was that provided this scholarship for me, but this scholarship went from the time I was 10 until I was 18,
Wow.
including my ODP travel. So I played for the Washington State Olympic Development Team and then part of the Western Regional ODP team. And my ODP travel was paid for. My SAT was paid for.
Wow.
And so, translate that into me meeting my college coach at ODP and ended up getting a full ride scholarship to play in college. And then, after college, getting a nice education and a good degree, I moved to the Bay Area, played semi-pro, and kicked off my career in the startup world. And at that time, if I could have done, I did startups in tech, but if I could have done startups in like the soccer space like I'm doing now, I would have done it in a heartbeat. But there just were not those job opportunities in soccer, one, and for women too. And so, and so throughout my entire career, I mostly worked in tech and tech startups. And when we moved to Santa Barbara, then at that point, I'd kind of taken a break. We have three boys, and I was, kind of more focused on being a mom. We moved to Santa Barbara, and this opportunity fell onto my lap. Peter Moore gets my number through, I don't know, a friend of a friend or whatever. And you want to help me start this soccer club? And I was like, nah, well, I've got three boys at home. Wait a minute. The CEO of Liverpool is asking me to start professional startup soccer in Santa Barbara. Yes. So long-winded answer. The reason being is that I always thought it would be really fun to work in my passion, which is startups, but in soccer, which is also my passion. And, also as it relates to this community, I love Santa Barbara so much, and I love the soccer community here. And just in some ways, thinking back of somebody doing this for me back when I was younger and changing the trajectory of my life effectively, the power of sport to do that for people and for the power of sport to do that for communities. And that to me is an absolute dream job and an absolute dream opportunity. So that's why me as a person, I did it and why I am doing this in Santa Barbara.
What a beautiful answer. That is, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Yeah,
That's
of
a
course.
wonderful thing.
But Riley, I mean, if you think about it, the power of sport, right? To
Yeah,
make people's lives better and to make communities better, right? How often, I'm at an LA, the LA Galaxy final was that like a month ago or whatever. And, I'm sitting in the stands and the guy next to me doesn't speak my language. The guy in front of me, I have absolutely nothing in common with. And the people behind me here and here and here. And we are hugging and high-fiving each other. Like,
that's awesome.
it doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter, like, whatever. We are here together and we are rooting for this one cause that is ours. And it's just a way of like connecting that is very unique and special. And I want to do that for Santa Barbara. I want it to be that melting pot, that place where it doesn't matter. I don't care like how little you have or how much you have or what's going on outside of this moment. We have this to share. And I think it's really powerful.
I couldn't agree more. I've seen sports change a lot of lives, and I've seen sports bring a lot of folks together.
Yeah.
That I don't think anyone or anything else would have brought them together. So it's a really wonderful thing. You guys obviously have quite the community to build off of, and I wish you the best of luck as you enter this final year of preparation. And hopefully, this is not the last time we talk before we start kicking balls around.
Thank you so much, Riley. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much to everyone at Santa Barbara Sky, and especially Sheralyn for making time for us today. Plenty of things to be excited about. If you are a fan of Santa Barbara or live in the Santa Barbara area, professional soccer is coming to your door in 2026 with a really, really exciting USL Championship opportunity. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can. at Riley James IAC on Instagram and X. The show's Instagram is at USL on Goals. The parent company is at goals.tv on Instagram, at goals_TV on X. And of course, you can find more content from creators all around the world covering soccer all around the world. And the entire catalog of my show covering soccer in USL at www.goals.tv. That will do it for us. Thank you so much for watching our show today. For Sheralyn Baltes, I'm Riley James. If anyone cares, we'll see you in 2 weeks.